Telencephalon, brain cortex, till inferior surface. Till here. Inferior surface not necessary to read.
Okay.
From page 37 till 42.
Okay.
Cortex of brain, that is gray matter, and it consists of three surfaces. This surface is supralateral surface, here it is middle surface, and here it is inferior. Next time you will study only supralateral surface.
Okay.
5 lobes we can find. Frontal lobe, help me, parietal, temporal, and 5th lobe is here. That is no. That is island, insula. That is isolated part inside of this groove. Name of this groove, Sulcus Lateralis, and inside of this groove, isolated department of brain has name insula. Borders between lobes, frontal lobe and parietal lobe separates with the help of central groove, Sulcus Centralis. Temporal lobe separates from frontal and parietal with the help of Sulcus Lateralis. Next, occipital from parietal lobe separates with Sulcus Parieto-Occipitalis. And this groove is only, most part of this groove on middle surface, and only small part go to superlateral surface, and continuation of this groove, that is the border between occipital and parietal lobes. Which grooves and gyri we know in superlateral surface? We already said that this groove is central, Sulcus Centralis. In frontal lobe, we have Sulcus Praecentralis, or anterior central groove, Sulcus Praecentralis. And the same gyrus Praecentralis, here it is, Gyrus Praecentralis, that is cortical center of motor analyzer. Then, here it is Sulcus Frontalis superior and Sulcus Frontalis inferior. And these two grooves separate frontal lobe into 3 gyri, Gyrus Frontalis superior, Gyrus Frontalis medius, and Gyrus Frontalis inferior. In posterior part of Gyrus Frontalis medius, we have motor center of the written speech, possibility to write. And in posterior part of Gyrus Frontalis inferior, that is motor center of the speech articulation, possibility to speak. If we have tumor in this region, in this case, person lost possibility to speak. He will understand everything. He know names of subjects, everything, but cannot speak. Cannot. That is center of the speech articulation in posterior part of inferior frontal gyrus. Next, frontal temporal lobe. Temporal lobe. Here it is, we have 2 grooves, Sulcus temporalis superior and Sulcus temporalis inferior. And these 2 grooves separates temporal lobe into 3 gyri, Gyrus temporalis superior, Gyrus temporalis medius, and Gyrus temporalis inferior. Superior gyrus in central part has center of hearing, auditory center. And posterior part of the same gyrus, that is auditory center of the speech, possibility to understand speech. That is posterior part of Gyrus temporalis superior. Next, parietal lobe. It is sulcus postcentralis. Postcentralis. And yes, it is precentralis. It is postcentralis. And the same gyrus postcentralis. It is center of skin analyzer, feeling of touch and temperature and pain. It is in gyrus postcentralis. All another parietal lobe separates into two lobules with the help of this groove, sulcus intraparietalis, and superior lobe, that is lobulus parietalis superior, and it is lobulus parietalis inferior. And in this inferior lobule, you can see, maybe more better here. No. Okay. Okay. Well, that is sulcus lateralis, and sulcus lateralis is finished, it is, and this gyrus which is surround sulcus end of sulcus lateralis. This gyrus has name gyrus supramarginalis, supramarginal gyrus, gyrus supramarginalis. It is center of practical function, practical movements. And it is sulcus temporalis superior. It's finished here in the region of gyrus angularis. Gyrus angularis, the center of reading, possibility to read, visual center of the written speech, center of reading. And that is all. In occipital lobe, not necessary to distinguish gyri, only we speak about occipital lobe, and that is all.
And no sulcus between temporal and occipital?
Between temporal and occipital, clear border is absent, only continuation of parieto-occipital groove, and there is no clear border between occipital and temporal. Well, some words on preparate, and that.
So we have like if we join this.
And what?
We have 6 reasons over here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
5 what?
Regions, like here is sulcus of 1, 2.
Yes, we speak only about one hemisphere, the same, all the same structure in opposite hemisphere, and it is fissura mediana. It separates both hemispheres into 2 parts, and corpus callosum, this is corpus callosum, is joined right and left hemisphere together. That is white matter which is joined both hemisphere together, and all of the structures what I describe in the right hemisphere, the same here. This red color, that is gyrus precentralis, gyrus postcentralis, gyrus temporalis superior, medius, inferior, everything is the same here it is. Maybe I not describe these 2 branches from sulcus lateralis. Start 2 branches, ramus anterior and ramus ascendens. And everything what is in front from ramus anterior, that is pars orbitalis. Space between ramus anterior and ramus ascendens, that is pars triangularis, and pars opercularis, that is behind of ramus ascendens. It is pars opercularis. Now on preparate, put here, please. That is left hemisphere. That is sulcus lateralis, sulcus centralis, and sulcus precentralis, and sulcus postcentralis. That is why this gyrus is gyrus precentralis, and here gyrus postcentralis. Sulcus frontalis superior and sulcus frontalis inferior, and 3 gyri, gyrus frontalis superior, medius, and inferior. And in inferior gyrus we can see ramus anterior and ramus ascendens. Between them pars triangularis, in front pars orbitalis, and behind pars opercularis. That is sulcus lateralis, and inside it is insula, that is inside of sulcus lateralis. Then temporal lobe divides into sulcus temporalis superior and sulcus temporalis inferior into three gyri: gyrus temporalis superior, medius, and inferior. Place where sulcus lateralis finished, it is, that is gyrus supramarginalis, and place where sulcus temporalis superior finished, that is gyrus angularis. And last groove is here, sulcus parieta accipitalis. It's go on superolateral surface, only small part, only here. And then continuation of this groove, that is a border between occipital and temporal and parietal lobes. And in parietal lobes we can find sulcus intraparietalis. It separates lobules, lobulus parietalis superior and lobulus parietalis inferior. That is all.